You're muted, Kaylani.
Dang it. God dang it. I'm muted. I'm back now. I've missed you guys terribly. It has been 2 very long weeks, 3 for Nasima. I have missed you all terribly. Have you guys been okay without me? Is everybody all right? You're still alive?
Yeah, I mean, we missed you too. You came back blonde.
Girl. I did. I came back blonde. There have been a lot of changes. And actually, that's exactly what I wanted to talk about today. All of the changes going on. Listen, my friends convinced me. First of all, shout out to my childhood best friend, Naomi. Both of Patty and Jade have met her. It was her birthday. And she said, come on, we're going on a girls trip. We're going to Colombia. And I'm like, going to Colombia. Okay. All right. We're going to Colombia. And I tried to talk myself out this trip so many times, but I'm like, no, we got to go. I got to celebrate my girl. And I need to get the heck up out of the house. I need to stop working. I need to take a break, all that stuff. Right. So we go on this trip. You know, we even put off the pod. We even stalled on That's What She Said. When Jade was an overachiever, she took her mic to freaking France with her, tapping with us from France. I'm whatever. Don't, do the show, leave to Colombia for a week, come back blonde. And literally the entire, in these last 2 weeks, so many things have happened. And so I'm in Colombia, and the assassination attempt on Trump happened while I was in Colombia. And luckily, I had service most of the time. It was spotty, but service and Wi-Fi. My phone is blowing up. My parents are texting me. I don't know what people think in other places of the world, but I didn't know if they thought I was going to be unsafe or what the situation was. Meanwhile, Colombia and Argentina are having a football final, right? And the entire city of Cartagena could give a rat's ass what's happening in America. They are all about this soccer game, right? So that was really, really fun. But, I come back and there was a lot that happened, man. There was the assassination attempt, obviously Biden dropping out of the presidential race. There was the global Microsoft outage, right? That CrowdStrike glitch or whatever that happened that caused all of Microsoft to go down. Which, had my flight been 1 day later, I would have been stranded in Cartagena. So luckily got back on time. And then, the most saddening thing to me was the murder of Sonia Massey in Chicago, where police entered her home after she called them after having concerns of an intruder. And that was the end of her life. So there was so much that happened in these last 2 weeks. I just wanted to come on and say, y'all, I feel it too. We feel it too. And I figured this was a perfect moment to kind of talk about how we actually handle the stressors of life, the overwhelm of what's going on around us. I didn't come here to talk about politics. I don't care anybody's political affiliation. I don't care about anybody's plans for the election. I don't care how anybody feels about any of that stuff. Everything is going on around us, and it's an overwhelming time. So I wanted to come back today and have just a light moment with my girls, say hello, tell you I miss you, tell you I love you, and really talk about how the show must go on, because it always does. All of those things have happened, and yet here we are back. I was back in the office first thing Monday morning, right? Back to work, back to helping people, phone ringing off the hook, and life is going on. So how are you guys feeling? Are you guys overwhelmed too? Are you guys okay? Is there anything I can do to show up better for you, be a better friend, be supportive in these moments, and be sensitive to this? Because Patty, this has been going on for you for a long time with everything that's been happening in Gaza and the Palestinian genocide that has happened as well. So you basically have been picking up and working and trucking along every single day. So how are you guys doing?
We're going.
See, I just feel it. I feel the energy. I felt it before we even got on this call today, on this podcast today.
Did you? What, you felt negative energy? What are you feeling?
No, I just felt like tired, fatigued.
Yeah, definitely heavy on the tired.
Yeah, like I'm over it.
Yeah.
The energy is heavy, and I think that uncertainty creates an inability to take action in people in general. And I think that one of the most underrated aspects of business in life is, the phrase is consumer confidence, but I know we're not always just talking about business. But when you have multiple headlines going on, mass amount of confusion, and an assassination attempt, this is not a simple matter, right? We're watching a deteriorating president for the first time in our lives. We don't know if he's an alien with a suit on or if he's just an old man dying. The headlines are telling you every conspiracy theory under the sun. You don't exactly know what's going on. Then you're watching what looks like an assassination that the Secret Service allowed a breach in their coverage. What do you call it? I think the head of the Secret Service resigned.
She resigned yesterday.
And so you're looking at it like, what's going on? Like, how am I living? Now, the way I personally cope with it is I just say, okay, when there's confusion, we know who the author of that is. We don't operate in a state of confusion. So I exit from the conversation and I put my head down and I keep focused and I keep working, because I can't save the world. I can't fix the world, but I can focus on my own economy and I can focus on my world. So that's what I do. Mm-hmm. But we already know I'm very resilient mentally.
I think I'm kind of with you as far as how I handle everything. I mean, you hear the news, you hear the headlines, you kind of get sucked up in it for a little bit. And then you have to listen to your inner self. If I start getting stressed about things that I have no ability to change, I just turn the TV off. And it's not that I don't want to know what's going on, but I also have to protect myself from, just being overwhelmed. I know that, come election season, that's when my voice can be heard. So me, it's funny because I remember being on the radio and I would have anxiety thinking about going into work the next morning when these big stories would break, because I had to give an opinion. I had to have a thought. I had to share. And I would literally be holding my breath thinking, oh my gosh, why do I have to do this? And it's such a blessing to be in a space where you don't have to publicly share how you feel. You know what I mean? Or you don't have to immerse yourself in it if you don't want to. So, I mean, I think we all have thoughts and opinions on everything that's been going on. I think that we all are feeling, I like how you said, the fear of the unknown and or nervous about where our world could be going on either side. You know what I mean? Like, everybody is very unsure right now. And so, yeah, I'm kind of like Patty in the sense of like, I got to really work and I got to really grind and I got to make sure that what I can control is me. My ducks have to be in a row. And so that's kind of what I'm focusing on right now, or the things that I can change, which is only me and my circumstances. So just trying to be super focused on the right things and listening to my spirit when it feels uneasy from hearing all this other information, and realizing sometimes you have to detach, turn off your cell phone, get off social media, turn off your TV. You're overwhelmed. If it's too much, listen to yourself, listen to your body.
Yeah. Have any of you guys considered leaving the country?
Oh, for years, yes. And especially now, I'm like, where can we go? I'm looking at Dubai. They say Mexico. I don't know, girl. Yeah.
I'm so glad you brought that up. I am so glad you brought that up. That is such a good question, because when stuff like this happens and I see people talking raggedy about the United States, I often think about what my parents had to go through to get here and how grateful I am to be here, and what my life would have looked like if I grew up in Iran versus growing up in the United States. Corruption in other countries is at a whole nother level. That's why I like Donald Trump, because at least the motherfucker hates you to your face, right? Right? You don't have you're not gonna question someone's intent and motivation, who they are. You're not getting an image of who I am. You're not getting a polished version of racism and a polished version of someone who is pig or whatever, all the things he is, right? You're not getting a polished version. You get what you get, and you're seeing what it is, and he's unapologetic about it. I can work with that. I can't work with not knowing.
Liking and having respecting somebody's game. I think it's two different things. I mean, liking is a little bit extreme.
Well, I mean, I'll also say, I'm not, for the record, since this is a public show, is that I'm not registered to vote and I don't vote. Because one of the big, I'm a part of the problem. I say that I always end that with that statement. I don't believe in the political system. So I don't, and especially in the state of California, for anyone that is very, very emotionally attached to the voting process because of what you went through to be able to vote. I understand that. And I do empathize with that. But in the state of California, it's a blue state. Truly, my vote doesn't matter. And I don't vote. Now, so I don't have a direction. So my opinions are just, my point is just that in the United States of America, I'm grateful to be in the United States of America. I've gone to other countries and I don't think I would be able to be where I'm at in life in general if I hadn't been in the United States. So I just have a different attitude about it. Like people be like, oh, I want to leave. Okay, cool. I don't know if you understand maybe how people say go to Canada. I'm like, what are you going to do in Canada? Do you know how heavy the cost of living is in Canada? Taxes, property taxes, and so on, the lifestyle. So sometimes I know people say it in fun a lot of ways, but every time that conversation comes up, I automatically retreat to how grateful I am to be here.
Now, I'll say this. My father also fought very hard to be here. He's also an immigrant. I think that I haven't done the research you have. I don't know nothing about the property taxes and all that. You know what I mean? All I'm thinking about is the beach in another country, possibly. Just being shallow, right? But in all honesty, the thing that I do appreciate about other countries is the simplistic way of life. I think that in America, we get so convoluted and so caught up on things that don't matter. I mean, again, turning on the TV, turn on C-SPAN right now, turn on ESPN, Lord, turn on CNN right now. We are caught up in things that other countries don't even have the privilege of worrying about. You get what I mean? So there is a beauty to me in living in certain other countries. Obviously not every country, you know what I mean? And I do empathize with what you're saying about, some of our parents actually fought very hard to be here. But I don't believe in this narrative of the American dream. I mean, I really don't. And maybe because I've always been here, right? Maybe I'm being ungrateful. That's a possibility too. But, they sell you this.
What is the American dream?
Well, that's what I'm trying to figure out. I'm still looking for. I'm still searching. Like, hello, is anybody let me know? Because I think people move to this country, your parents, my father, they moved to this country searching for the American dream because I think we do a great job as a country painting the picture and do great marketing.
Oh, did we lose her?
No, Jade.
I know.
Yeah, we did.
There she is.
There she is.
She's kind of there. She's half there. I was so into it.
I know.
Me too.
I was so into it. Here, let me. I'm gonna knock her down and bring her back. Let's see if that helps.
No, but I love that perspective, Patty, because that's a totally different perspective than what I was raised on. My family goes back to the United States for as long as I know, as far as I can trace, right? So that's all I know. I'm a product of a Black Panther father. My grandfather grew up in Oakland. Okay. He was raised in West Oakland. So I have a totally different perspective. What I do appreciate is, like you, I feel like you have more of a worldly perspective because you've been exposed to different cultures and different things. When I think about going and living somewhere else, I think about exposing my kids to the world because I feel like there's no greater classroom than world travel. Than seeing different cultures and different perspectives and different government systems and different structures. Not saying that I'm escaping, but I am trying to expose myself to different ways of life, like Jay said, like sometimes slower, maybe even sometimes faster, but things that are different. In times where there's uncertainty, I think that there's an opportunity to do that. It gives you, it gives you like, oh, you know what? It's not a great environment here. This might be a good time to, live in Costa Rica for 3 months and just not be able to work, not have to work, and have a housekeeper and have a nanny and like just live a little bit simpler. So that's how I look at it. I don't look at it like I'm ungrateful. Because that's what a lot of people say. If I say anything about, like, I had a post that went viral about somebody putting an American flag in my yard, and just people being sensitive to the fact that American flag doesn't represent the same thing to all people, and it can be looked at as a threat for Black people. And just because I said that, people were like, well, why don't you just get out of this country? Like, just because, I'm expressing that, hey, be sensitive to how people look at things, number one. And number two, don't put stuff in my yard if I didn't ask you to. And that was like really the bottom line. Like, you didn't.
Right.
But what I'm saying is, you know, I think a lot of times when you don't have this fully patriotic like point of view, people are like, well, why don't you go to another country? Well, my roots are deep in this country. I don't have another country to go to technically where I belong, right? So I think that, you know, it's just ignorance. So
Mm.
Yasima, do you feel like you belong here?
um
You use the word belong.
belong, yeah. It depends on it. I feel like I belong here because this is my home. I feel like I'm a unwanted stepchild in this country, especially like as a Black woman. I feel like um I'm constantly being attacked by everybody, even Black men. You know, like there is no one who is a true avid supporter for Black women. Nobody has our back, and so I just feel like, I mean, and I always, like as a kid, wanted to go to Africa and thought that that was a solution. And I did a semester abroad in Ghana, and I felt even more like an outsider. So
Wow.
I don't I guess this is the only place I know as home, but do I feel like wanted and belong, like I belong here? No, but it's sad because I don't feel like I belong anywhere.
Wow.
Mhm. You know, as I'm listening to your stories, I think about, my parents, and, my mother is Polynesian. She's from Hawaii. She's Samoan. My grandmother is like native Samoan, like as Samoan as you can get. My father, we're from Ohio, but he traced our heritage. I know it's very easy to follow our bloodline to the Blackwell plantation in West Virginia, and not hard to find it. So he's done a really good job over the last couple of years, doing the ancestry thing, connecting with relatives, all that kind of thing, all that stuff. But then when I think about what my family has been through, I will be the first millionaire in my family ever, ever. And I'm proud of that. But, to what Patty said, she's grateful to be here. But what we have to do to see moderate success, all four of us are lunatics. Every one of us. We work crazy. We put ourselves out on social media for judgment. We work incredibly hard. We start businesses. We're going against the grain. We're fighting daily, and it feels like a constant fight. So I don't know where we belong technically, but I can agree with the sentiment that whatever's going on right now just really ain't it. It's not it. Everything is unaffordable. Making progress professionally is a fight on the daily. Dating is a fight all of the time, right? Being successful and finding quality men, and then, intimidating people, and then like all of the things that come with being who we are. And not to complain, because I know so many people that would love to be in my shoes or think that what I've got going on is so amazing and so great, but it all comes with its own stuff. So I don't know at what point ever being a woman of color in this country has been good, great, easy, or, not that we search for that, but, this whole idea of American dream is just getting farther and farther and farther and farther away. So would I be open to living in another country? Absolutely. I've literally thought about it. I've looked up countries where they will literally pay people to come and live, right? Because populations are dwindling. I'm like, oh.
Scares me, because I'm like, well, if you're going to pay us to come live there, some ain't given. So look, like the research Patty did, we didn't do that, and so we get there and we're like, okay.
Right.
Well, let me guys ask you something. What do you think the number one reason is for migration? Like for any reason to move from, let's say, out of California, out of Texas, out of Ohio, what do you think the number one reason across the country is for people moving?
Affordability.
Opportunity.
Opportunity is the correct answer. It's job change. And and there's a graph on this, and it's a pretty wide gap. I was shocked myself, because I thought migration happens because of affordability. It's because of opportunity, which is why they're going to be paying you to go to Italy, and then of course be even more racist there, right? So it is what it is, right? So opportunity is the correct answer. So when you think about the American dream, I really, really actually love that topic, because I know this was really about the heaviness of the recent events and checking in with each other, which I think is a very important thing to do with your friends and family and your circles, of course. and we should keep that topic going. But just because of this sidebar of the American dream, I do think it's important because the American dream usually starts with home ownership. So in my newsletter that went out on Monday, I did touch on the swing states that are severely impacted by the cost of living changing in the United States and how that's going to be a serious factor. And of course, it highlights one of the most important aspects of the wealth gap, which is Black home ownership. And that area that area is something we need to be teaching and encouraging, because typically, quintessentially, I guess, the fundamental thought of the American dream is get married, white picket fence, have a house, build equity, retire, etc. And the American dream has taken on a new form. Mainly, a lot of that is because of the attack that we have from a systematic perspective just in the home, right? So the home structure being broken up. You don't have a home structure, you have people working. Now, women fight for liberation, and the liberation movement of women has put us in a position where men are less attractive to us because their earning capacity and even their mental capacity can't keep up with us, right? Another form of deteriorating the home. And then you have the American dream, which of course, as a result, is going to be deteriorated because it was built fundamentally upon this idea of homeownership and family and life and retirement and et cetera. So, but I do think if we were going to modernize the American dream, in my opinion, in my humble opinion, I think the American dream is this idea that you have freedom, right? And then, of course, we could debate here for the next 3 hours of what freedom is and what that means. And I can tell you very, very much so that there are girls, we can do this all day long, and I know that. And there's problems in many, many countries. But I'm just going to use even not my own roots. But in the country of Afghanistan, there is a 12-year-old girl that would give her legs to be able to sit in a classroom and learn how to read. Right. And so there are people here that would travel on foot and risk their lives on boats for months with no food just to be able to have the opportunity to come clean the floors of our salons and our bedrooms and bathrooms so that they can have income and opportunity. It is a massive difference. And then so I think going back to the wealth gap, thinking about tying that into the American dream and this thought and this opportunity is that it is a land of opportunity. I get criticized often by my friends who are liberals, who will always tell you that, oh, Patty, you're a Republican. Everyone calls me a Republican, and I'll remind the people who might have showed up late that I'm not registered to vote and I don't vote. But I want to say that this idea that I'm this Republican is funny because I focus a lot on economics, okay? I'll take this back to when Jay-Z stepped in to go negotiate with the NFL to create opportunities for income in collaboration with the NFL. He was completely torn down because people were saying, what are you doing? Take a knee. How could you be going against Kaepernick at the time like this when you should be taking a knee? Now, mind you, I love the San Francisco 49ers, and I have been a fan my entire life. I know Raiders suck though. So the thing is, I've been a 49er fan my whole life. I went to school with Jerry Rice's niece. I loved Joe Montana. Like that was my shit. Okay. I boycotted the NFL for 3 years or more because of Colin Kaepernick, okay? I stood with him taking a knee. So I want to clarify that. When Jay-Z stepped in and said, listen, we've been taking a knee for a long time. I'm not Black and I have no right to speak on whether or not someone should be taking a knee. But what my perspective on this is that he decided that we need to grow economically because you really don't have a seat at the table if you don't have sound economics.
Wait, Patty, you're not Black?
No, I'm not. I know, it's so shocking to people. Breaking news. But let me tell you, let's walk through Oakland, California right now. Let's walk through East Oakland, California right now. I can show you blocks owned by Asians. The Asians were also, they were not allowed to come into the country. They were treated like aliens and animals and disgusting folks in the city of San Francisco. They own block after block after block in the Bay Area. The wealthiest group and the Asian wealth gap is very small compared to white people when you compare it to other groups, right? They come together and just in the housing perspective. The four of us, if we were four Asian sisters, we'd be living in the same house. Within 7 years, we would pay it off and we would go take our money and we would buy another house next door and the house next door and the house next door. And we would build up our financial and economic strength so that we can compete on a different level. When I say compete, I'm talking about survival. So what is the American dream? The American dream is the land of freedom and opportunity, whatever you want to define that as, because we know it's corrupt and we know that there's a lot a lot. That's a loaded statement, and there's not enough shows back to back today that can cover that.
I was about
But
to say,
to
let's
me,
talk
the
about
American,
this
if you
freedom.
stick to the economics and you focus on your world and your economy, I can't save every child in Gaza. I can't save every child in the United States of America. I can't even save 10 children in the city that I live in. But what I can do is continue to raise myself from an education and economic standpoint so that I could be of use to my community in any way that I possibly can. So that's like a summary of my position on that, on the American dream.
Our success opens up doors for other people, right? But that is if you have the mentality that, I lift as I rise. Unfortunately, everybody doesn't have that, but I mean, I think everybody on here does. Because I think that a lot of people wonder why do people want to be wealthy outside of having material things? Well, if you want to be wealthy for material things, you'll always be poor, right? Internally poor. But I do think that wealth or building wealth or attempting to build wealth is important because it does allow you access. It does allow you resources and tools. And I remember doing this interview with Chamillionaire one time where he said, I want to be the Moses of my people. I want to get the information, get access to the rooms, build all this wealth and take it back to those that can't afford to get it so that I can continue to grow my community. So I obviously no country is ever going to be perfect, right? I definitely respect your opinion on the American dream. And I agree. I think two things can be true, right? I can agree and then also have the opinion that it can kind of all be a facade as well. It's just whatever picture that they kind of paint in the media that we believe, because it depends on who you are. I was about to make a statement that I think I was going to regret. So I'm going to stop right there and let one
Did
of
you see
the
that, guys? That was wisdom in real time.
Yeah.
So my question, okay, so if we're talking about the American dream, which I'm totally fine pivoting to that. I actually think that this is probably really right on time, but a lot of that is tied to the middle class. And with the wealth gap continuing to widen, right, and the rich continuing to get richer, is the middle class the goal, right? Because Patty, you can say everything that you just said, right, about what, I'm sorry, Nasima, everything that you just said, but we also have to admit that you're not normal. I don't think any of us really on this call, like you're not normal. You don't live a normal lifestyle. You are a high producer, right? You are the top 1% of what you do. So getting to that point is for some people, not even they can't even perceive what that would be like. Right. So I'm sorry, Nasima, what were you going to say since I brought
No. I was agreeing. Like, yeah, that's all that was. I didn't have anything to say.
Okay.
I think that's plagued me my whole life because the problem is that even when I wasn't, I knew that that's what I needed to be. You said you were going to be the first millionaire in your entire family. As far as I know, so am I.
Yeah.
And there is a lot that happens when I was sitting on floors with nothing, with a husband in jail, with my life in shambles, with my everything that you could possibly think of. I saw this day coming. So I do appreciate that perspective because I know that I have I don't care what's in my way mentality. And I think that's what makes me rare. Not the status, not the money, not the accomplishments. It's my mindset. And I do think that that's what makes me different and abnormal.
Do y'all think that everybody has the same opportunity, right? Do y'all think that if you put everybody in the world, everybody come outside, if you have, we'll call it the Patty mindset, if you can garner the Patty mindset, does everybody have the opportunity, not the same opportunity, but the opportunity to be successful? Or is it meant for some people to not be successful? I don't know if my question is making sense.
No, it's impossible to ask that question without talking about environment. Nasima, I think you could touch on that nature versus nurture. You can't, if you said that we're talking about every single child that was born in one circumstance from the age of 2 and on following the same protocol, the answer is yes. But if you're talking about...
I don't think so, because twin research has shown that that's not the case. Because like when you introduce an environment that's different, I have siblings that I've grown up with and we are polar opposites.
Yes.
Same situations, a year apart. I have a sibling that's a year apart, polar opposites. And so like it's so many variables, Jade. It's so hard to say. There's so many variables. There's individual variables, there's systemic variables, there's experiences. A lot of it is trauma that can come into play that can affect people's willingness to even pursue opportunities. And so like I think that's such a loaded question, but it is a great thought exercise, right?
It
Like,
is. And to
yeah.
your point, in the same, in the same household and having children with different personalities, the things that Patty has described to us, suffering abuse, like you just said, having a husband that's in jail, being a single mother, all the things that you've had to overcome in your lifestyle, that has literally stifled other people. So that is interesting of how two people can be in the exact same situation, and one person, it can drive them, and the other person, it can make them want to quit.
Take them out. Yeah, definitely.
I think as a mother, I understand that very clearly. Because these two little kids are hella different. No, you're right, Nasima. You're right.
Totally.
You are so right. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like and we've heard it like so many times. I've heard it from, the most entitled white men I've ever worked with, where it's just like, pull yourself up by the bootstraps. And one of my favorite things, like my response is, dude, not everybody has boots, right? Like that's not the case for everybody. And so, there's a lot of factors I think that can play into it. Like even in our own families, right? Like obviously I don't have kids yet, but I look at my, my siblings, my cousins, people that are around, in my generation. And, we all got that one. I got that one cousin that the family kind of don't really claim. I'm not even going to say her name publicly. Like she just made all the wrong choices.
She knows you're talking about it.
She can know. Listen, everything I said to her, she can know. But, we grew up literally the same. And our fathers, who are 1 year apart, right? Very similar, right? Situation, grew up almost exactly the same, literally, and polar opposite people, both high achievers, but polar opposite people. And so also, they say that high achievement is also, for a lot of people, a trauma response. I think some people wake up and, some of the people that are the most successful ever, the Elon Musks and the Steve Jobs and the really like the big innovators of our time, I don't know what their home life was like. I don't know the trauma that they experienced necessarily, but for the people who didn't have a lot of trauma, that grow up and are healthy and happy and satisfied and satiable, right? They're probably not the ones that are necessarily super responsible for the advancement of our cultures and our people and doing the lifting as we're climbing. So that's a super nuanced thing. And the answer to that question is flat out like, hell no.
Yeah.
So anyway, I don't even know how we got, to this point. And then wait, did we talk about, so okay. No, I did have a question. So Patty, how do we, so how do we, if middle class is the goal or not the goal, if I guess so, if middle class is kind of the goal for a lot of people, but, given the wage gaps and what, certain demographics just aren't privy to, it was not accessible to them. What are the actionable items? And I'm going to direct this to Patty in particular, right? With all the loan applications that you see that come through for you all of the time, what are the steps that a family that's trying to just attain simply home ownership, that needs the four sisters on this panel right together to do so? How do we discipline ourselves? How do we get people on the same accord to achieve something like that?
Yeah, I think I tweeted about this in 2008.